Welcome to episode 145 of the Loane Hockey Podcast. For today, we're going to be talking about some standouts in last night's matchup between San Jose and Seattle. So it was a bit of a barn burner. There was back and forth game. It was a whole game and a high scoring affair in the second period. And you had that fight between Will Borgen and Klim Kostin in the second period as well. So it was just chaotic second. There wasn't as much scoring in the third, but still some really good scoring, including a first career NHL goal from Ethan Cardwell off the rush that he had. And there's so many other aspects of both teams' play that stood out. And I believe both of them are playing each other again tonight in Seattle as well. So we'll start with Seattle side. I felt like Chandler Stevenson actually had a really good game in this game. I felt like he was controlling the flanks on the power play. He was able to make some really nice seam dishes. He had a really nice pass on Shane Wright's goal on the primary assist there, and just was looking really good as a playmaker. I feel like as a playmaker, he's really underrated in that sense of how he can find lanes, how he can use his vision, and how he can maintain that heads-up awareness to be able to find seams and be able to take advantage of them quickly. So he's been a guy that's slightly underrated. He hasn't been super productive as a free agent signing for them, but he's still been a quality signing for them and has provided some secondary scoring for them throughout their top six. Oliver Bjorkstrand, I felt, had a good game in this game and showing that speed off the rush, not necessarily super dynamic, but in a straight line, I noticed his speed, his flair, and his ability to use his stride to separate from contact, separate from defensemen. And he was really good at being able to evade four checkers in this game, get off the wall, be able to control space, and just being able to be a play driver in the sense of how he was driving his small area possession game. And I felt like that was a little bit more impactful on his side, and he stood out a lot there and was really good there in this game. Riker Evans, I really like Riker Evans to start the season. I feel like he's one of the more underrated defensemen, underrated rookies in the league right now in terms of his ability to control space, how he's able to control pressure, and how he can manage the tempo of the game and be able to be a transitional defenseman as well. I feel like he's very impactful in a lot of areas of the game already, and that's rare to find from a guy who was a second round pick and an overager as a second rounder. But a guy who's been very impactful for them. He's been really impressive to start the season, and I'm really intrigued to see if he continues that pace throughout the rest of the year. Shane Wright had a really good game. He had a two-goal game, and like I said before, off one of those passes, that primary assist from Chandler Stevenson on the power play. That was one of his notable goals where he finished and had that one timer, and then just looked really good as a shooter, really good creating volume. I felt like he was noticeable at being able to create shot volume in that sense, and then being able at the same time being able to generate efficiency in his scoring and in his chances regularly. That was noticeable as well. I felt like he was really good all across the board throughout this game. And then San Jose's side, Macklin Celebrini had a 2 point game once again, another multi-point game from he has many to start the season and has been really good there. And just in terms of his ability to get off the wall, how he's creating space, how he's evading pressure, and he's looked more comfortable with his routes in his stint in the NHL this far, and he's looked more comfortable at being able to attack in transition. I feel like that's one of the biggest assets of his game, being able to attack in transition and leverage his off rush play. He's had that for quite some time, and it's just been very effective. And we've talked about him a lot in this podcast, but I feel like just in terms of his ability to create and be a play driver, always very noticeable in that sense. William Eklund, who's been really good throughout the season as well. 2 point game for him has been really noticeable as of late as a playmaker, being able to find seams, being able to control bouncing pucks and control and take advantage of 50-50s. I feel like Eklund's a guy who's been very noticeable at being able to leverage possession ability and being able to not only leverage that, but being able to actually be an individual play driver as a winger on his line has been very important for him. Mikael Granlund, 2 point game, had a really nice shot coming down the flank on one of his sides in this game. And looked like the Mikael Granlund we've seen in Minnesota for quite some time at being able to control play and how he'd be able to be a dual threat offensive player. Klim Kostin also had a really good game, he was a little inconsistent to start the season, but has found a little bit more of a scoring streak and been able to generate some offense, had 2 points in this game, and was very effective as a power forward, being able to drive the net, drive the crease, get around defenders, using puck protection, that type of thing. More of a north-south player than anything, but he shows some offensive ability when necessary. Jake Wallman was really good as well. He had a two-goal game. He had a booming shot from the point on one of his goals. He's been a really standout defenseman for San Jose offensively thus far this season. has actually gotten some reps quarterback in the first unit on the power play for them. So I feel like that's helped to some degree his offensive ability and be able to help his game a little bit more in terms of his development as well. Ethan Cardinal had a good game. First NHL goal, had that shot off the rush that landed and bounced over the glove side to end with that goal. And it was a really nice sequence and just stood out all across the board. And then Will Smith had a really good game as well, 2 point game, and just was really noticeable all around as a passer and being able to generate seams and being able to find different layers of pressure with the puck on his stick as well.